Welcome back to Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing the extra time match review of Nottingham Forest nil, Everton 1. A fantastic, thoroughly deserved 3 points on the road at the City Ground. Where to begin with this one? We'll start with the starting 11 thoughts. There's a lot to unpack, obviously, from this one. A fantastic afternoon in the sun in Nottingham, but as I said before, we'll start with the starting 11. It was interesting to see Armando Broja start. Obviously, his first start under David Moyes. I didn't think Beto did too much wrong against Arsenal. He certainly was going to offer a different dynamic, Armando Broja. So again, it was interesting to see. Nottingham Forest certainly weren't expecting it, I don't think. Obviously, with the form that Beto was in, certainly on his little purple patch in February, a lot of people would have seen Beto start in this game. But as I said before, a different dynamic seeing Broja start, a little bit more direct, maybe a little bit more physicality. So again, I wasn't against it. I wasn't opposed to it. The rest of the team was kind of to be expected. Seeing Mikalenko back in the starting lineup was obviously a positive. I thought obviously Nathan Patterson did very well versus Arsenal to deal with the Arsenal attack, but seeing a little bit more balance in the back four with Mikalenko back at left back, I think was obviously a positive thing to see. And obviously, it's probably our strongest back four on paper is Mikalenko, Branthwaite, Tarkowski, and Jake O'Brien. So I think it was positive to see that four back in the fold and kind of set us up well. I was kind of excited. I always had a little bit of optimism, maybe blind optimism, but those who watched the match preview know that I did predict us to win, and we'll obviously get onto that later on in the video. But we'll start with the first half, and I thought it was a relatively bright start by us. Both sides really seemed to cancel each other out, which is not really been a characteristic of Everton's game. Certainly under David Moyes, I think that it's either been us sitting back or us on the front foot. There's not really been too much of a stalemate, and in this game, I thought it was massively a stalemate in that first half. There wasn't a lot of flashpoints. The best chance of the game really coming on 25 minutes with Jack Harrison finding James Garner in the box. He forced a decent save from Matt Sells, but apart from that, in the Everton side, there wasn't really many chances. I can think of an Iliman Ndiaye chance, which was, it was a very poor shot from Iliman Ndiaye, which found Matt Sells, and then a decent header from Ndiaye latching onto a Jack Harrison cross, which obviously also went into the keeper's hands. But apart from that, there wasn't really a lot of chances for either side. Obviously, Nottingham Forest's best chance of the half probably came from Hudson-Odoi, who beat his man and then forced a shot at Jordan Pickford, who saved quite well, quite low to to the centre of his goal, and that was really the only chances of the first half, and it capped off a pretty uneventful first half in that sense. But going into half time, I thought, we're giving a really good account of ourselves here against a team that are supposedly fighting for top four, top five, fighting for European football this season. We're going to their backyard and really giving a good account of ourselves. I thought we were in control for large spells of that first half. The game really didn't feel like a Champions League team against a team in the lower bottom half of the Premier League. That was just my opinion. I thought, we were given a really good account of ourselves, and then it kind of set us up well going into that second half. I thought it gave us a little bit of confidence because in these type of games, we've seen it so many times with Everton where we give the opponent too much respect, and I really didn't think we did that with Nottingham Forest. I thought we were in control for large spells of that first half, creating chances, giving a really good account of ourselves, and I was quite proud to say that we were giving a good account of ourselves. But as I said before, it gave us a little bit of a platform in that second half, gave us a little bit of confidence, and we were still in control, creating chances, creating a decent amount going forward. I think we just lacked that little bit of quality in the final third, just to carve out a real clear-cut chance. There was obviously a few chances here and there in that second half. Obviously, the ones that spring to mind was the Jack Harrison one, where he found himself with his back to goal in the box and fired over in towards the away end, actually. And then James Garner scuffed the shot well wide and seemed to pull up with a little bit of cramp there. Maybe that was a little bit of David Moyes' gamesmanship. I'm not too sure, but I think the biggest turning point in that second half for me was when Carlos Alcaraz came on. I think the game massively swung in our favour at that point, and we did lack a lot of energy. I think I said in the match review, the ratings review, I said that we did lack a little bit of energy. There was a little bit of lull in the game, particularly in that second half. But I thought once Carlos Alcaraz came on, I think it massively swung in our favour. And going forward, we were being a lot more progressive. I've said in the review, the ratings review, for example, that Carlos Alcaraz, every time he got on the ball, he looked to go forward. He had his head up and went forward and was really progressive with the ball, which is something that we've not seen from an Everton midfield or even an Everton player really for a number of seasons now. But Just before we get into added time, there was obviously a couple of flashpoints in that second half in terms of penalty shouts for Everton. The first one was on Charlie Alcaraz, which was Ryan Yates. He sort of blocked off Alcaraz and Alcaraz went down in sort of acrimonious fashion, acrimonious circumstances. I've seen those given on different days. It probably would have been a little bit soft, but I have seen them given, particularly to a team wearing red at the other side of Stanley Park, but we won't get into that. But the second one on Beto, again, I think it probably would have been quite soft. I don't think it's probably enough to give a penalty. It's just a little bit of a tangle of legs between him and Murillo. But as I said before, I have seen them given. You see VAR, it always changes the criteria that they're giving penalties these days. So again, it could have gone completely different way. In hindsight, obviously it doesn't matter, but there was two penalty shouts there, which on a different day you probably do see them go away. But again, probably can't too much can't complain too much. You kind of have to just go with the referee on this one. But going into added time now, it was actually Forest who seemed that they would go on and sort of get the bulk of the chances in added time. They had their best chance on about 93 minutes with a corner. A little bit of a mix up in the Everton box, which obviously conceded the corner, but we dealt with that really well. And then obviously I think it was Alanga who found Murillo, and he was obviously the last man. I just want to mention Idrissa Gana Gueye and Dwight McNeil. Obviously, Dwight McNeil less so because he'd just come on about 2 minutes before, but Idrissa Gana Gueye playing the full 90 minutes and leading by example, leading the press, and really setting the standard for the entire game, in my opinion. Idrissa Gana Gueye set the standard, but really setting the standard for what David Moyes is trying to instill in this Everton squad is, you know, fight to the very last second. And Idrissa Gana Gueye showed that pressing the ball, and then obviously Dwight McNeil joined him up there, who dispossessed Murillo after a poor touch, and McNeil found himself 3-on-1 with one Forest defender between him and the goal, and Idrissa Gana Gueye and Abdoulaye Doucouré streaming forward next to him. Obviously, I mentioned in my ratings review about Dwight McNeil, it is just that little bit of quality we've missed, but it was a fantastic ball. Some might say it was a little bit lucky. I was listening to Match of the Day. I think it was Alan Shearer on Match of the Day saying it was a little bit of a lucky pass, but Dwight McNeil found Abdoulaye Doucouré, who didn't need a touch to control it, one touch to finish past Matt Sells, absolutely slammed it into the corner, and it was absolute bedlam in that away end. That was probably one of the most celebrated goals I have ever been involved in an away end. It was absolutely fantastic. Speaking of celebrations, I'll address probably the elephant in the room, is Abdoulaye Doucouré's celebration with his little signature celebration. Let me know your thoughts on that one, because I've seen some people call it a little bit arrogant. I've seen some people obviously back it up, saying that we should offer him a new contract. My personal opinion is, obviously, I don't think he had the greatest of games. I thought it was quite a quiet afternoon for Abdoulaye Doucouré, but he is just a scorer of big goals. So, in my opinion, if it were to happen that he was to sign a new contract, I'd accept it if it was on much lower terms, just for another season, because obviously we're losing a lot of players out of contract this season. And if he was to be a squad player and were to be vital for David Moyes in the squad next season, then I'd say fair enough, sign him on a shortened contract. But if it were to be on the same terms he's on now, I'd probably look to find alternate options. But enough of that. We have to talk about that goal again. And as I said before, a special mention to that away end, because I thought the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic all afternoon. It was great to be a part of. Obviously in the sun in Nottingham. What a fantastic away day. And to come away, obviously the full-time whistle went, to come away with 3 points, a 1-0 victory. There's not a better feeling on the road, in my opinion. It's an absolutely fantastic way to finish a game, is a last-minute winner, and it sets us up really well for obviously the remaining games this season, but also Man City next weekend at Goodison Park. But that is it, really. I'll just focus on my standout performers now, just before we finish the video. For me, I said it in my ratings review. I thought Jarrad Branthwaite was the man of the match for me. I thought he was absolutely fantastic for us. 9 out of 9 aerial duels completed. He's the first player to do it in the Premier League this season. So it just shows you how good he was in the air, especially against the likes of Chris Wood, for example. He kept him completely quiet all afternoon long. The second one I'll talk about is Idrissa Gana Gueye. I thought he was fantastic as well. He really broke up the play very, very well. Dealt with Forest midfield of Nicholas Dominguez, Morgan Gibbs-White. He dealt with them superbly, in my opinion. Even Ryan Yates, when he came on, Idrissa Gana Gueye just dealt with them all. So fantastic performance, just showing that he's an absolute Rolls Royce in the midfielder. And then surprisingly, my last stand-up performer is going to be Jack Harrison. Now, a lot of people will be raising eyebrows at this one and maybe saying, What you want about Ollie? I thought for Jack Harrison's standards going forward, I thought he had a relatively decent game. He created a lot of chances for different players. Probably unlucky not to be on the score sheet himself. Obviously, found himself with his back to goal and blazed it over into the away end. But on a different day, Jack Harrison's gotten a goal and assist in this game, and he's had a fantastic game. But he tried really hard. He battled to create a lot of chances for different players. But for a great save from Matt Sells to deny James Garner. Jack Harrison's got assist there as well. So I thought Jack Harrison for his standards, I thought he had a relatively decent game and created a lot of chances. So special mention to him. Fingers crossed he can use that as a platform now and finish the season strongly with Everton. But as we know, he's probably not going to sign next season. There's a few rumours rumbling around, but let's not get into that. That's obviously to speak about in a different video. But that is all for my Nottingham Forest nil, Everton 1. Not going to get bored of saying that. Still not going to get bored of saying that. That's all for my review today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about how we played. Obviously, let me know your thoughts about my stand-up performers. But that is all from me today. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.